Today's video is brought to you by Invato Elements. Invato Element is an unlimited subscription service for digital assets. You can download graphic designs, vector art, stock images and footages, musics and sound effects, and many more, all kinds of digital assets. So if you are a graphic designer or content creator or even an agency, this is the one-stop service for you to fulfill your day-to-day needs. All of these digital assets are created by independent professional designers and creators who frequently upload new assets to the Invato Element, so your library will grow every month with thousands of new assets. All of these for one subscription fee. Check out Invato Elements today. Link is under the description below. Alright guys, first thing as always, we are going to create a sketch and let's define the character style. And for this, I'm going to stick to the comic style character. So the head is going to be very big and the body is going to be really small. Something like Chibi Style. So now you guys got the idea. I'm just going to use Photoshop to create this sketch, very basic sketch. No need to be perfect. We are not going to trace this in Illustrator. We are just going to use this as a reference and redraw this in Illustrator. All we are doing in Photoshop is trying to get the character style. Okay. Alright, this look fine, but I think we need to make the head even more bigger. So I'm just going to do that. Just going to cut it out and make it bigger and adjust all the body parts according to the head size. For this part guys, I'm using a tablet and using the brush tool to draw the character, and in between I'm using the eraser tool if I made any mistake. Nothing complex in here, so I will make this part faster and then we can move on to the Illustrator. Now that we have defined our character, I'm just going to place our image into Illustrator and let's keep it as a reference. I'm just going to place it in here so we can use the other side for drawing, and I'm going to lock this, just Control and number 2, which will lock this image. Alright. Now let's start from the head. For this, I'm going to use the ellipse tool from the basic shape and draw an oval shape like this in here. Okay. And then let's apply a fill color for now. Then we can go to direct selection tool and I'm going to select this anchor point and press S. When you press S, whatever changes you do for one side handle will affect the other side as well. Using this technique, I'm going to adjust the shape top and also bottom to get the basic S shape of the character. Alright, now we can rotate the shape similar to our drawing and use the direct selection tool. With these anchor points and handles, we can modify the shape to get the closest shape to our reference. If you guys are new to pen tool, please check out this tutorial and find out more about how to use the pen tool. Alright, let's add in more detail to the face. Again, I'm going to select the pen tool and draw the face line in here, which will be cutting off the face into two sections. And for this, we don't need any fill color, and we also need to increase the thickness. So let's go to the stroke in the properties and apply a thickness. All right. Now with the same parameters, I'm going to draw the second line. Again, pen tool from this point to below in here. All right. Don't worry about the sizes for now, guys. Later we can adjust. For now, I'm just going to adjust these a little bit closer to our drawing. Now that we have little bit more details in the face, I'm going to use the direct selection tool and adjust the shape of the head little bit more detailed closer to the reference image. Alright guys, so let's move on to the hood. Again, I'm going to use the pen tool in here. Very simple shape like this in here. We are going to draw this shape. So let's start in here. Change the fill color. Now with the direct selection tool, let's adjust the shape closer to our reference image. Now let's draw this part, the behind part of the hood in here. We can select this and right click, arrange and send it backwards. Alright, so now again select the direct selection tool and adjust the shape closer to the reference image. Okay, so let's draw the remaining areas of the neck part of the head. For these, I'm just using the pen tool in here, guys, nothing complex. First, let's get the basic shapes right. Later, we can add in the details. This part is going to be inside, behind. So let's change the color. Let's make it a little bit more darker for now. Don't worry too much about the colors. Later we will adjust them properly. For now, just for reference, let's make it a little bit more darker. Alright, now I think our head is ready. Now select all of them. You guys can make it as a group if you want to. And I'm going to rotate this head closer to the angle of our reference image. Something along this line is fine. Alright, so let's continue with the body. First, I'm going to draw a rough shape using the pen tool. Start from the upper part of the body. Very basic shapes like this is good enough for now. And then the legs. And again, very basic shape, guys. So this character is a chibi character. If you guys don't know what's chibi character, it's actually from Japan, where you guys see these comic arts. The head is very large compared to the body, and the body parts will be very small. You guys can search chibi Google and find out more about it. So what I'm drawing here is something similar to a chibi type character. Alright, I think the head must be a little bit more larger. I think this is good enough. Alright guys, so now what I'm going to do is, if you guys notice in our original reference image, we have the clothes with a lot of wrinkles in here. So we are going to recreate that in this shape also. For that, I'm going to create a very simple method. I'm going to draw these shapes in here, just randomly placing, but I'm trying to stick to the original reference picture as possible. Alright, now select all of these shapes with the body shape behind and go to the Pathfinder and unite them all together. Now we converted all these shapes into one single shape. Okay, let's continue with the hands. This time I'm going to draw the hands again with the pen tool, but this time I'm going to draw the hand with the wrinkles, because now we have a reference in here, so we can stick to that reference and draw the hand something like this. Alright. We can unite all of these together again, but before you guys unite, you need to close any open shape. Okay. Alright, now we can select all of these and unite them together. I'm going to repeat this for the pants as well. Again, just drawing some simple shapes in here to replicate the wrinkles, and then we are going to unite all of them together. Next, let's draw the belts. Again, very simple shape. Going to use the pen tool for this. We can change the color and then the center buckle and the belt loops. In here, I'm using the eyedropper tool to get the appearance from the body. Next is cuff in here. In here as well. And then let's draw the hands. For the hands, again guys, very simple shape, no need to be perfect. Try to get the shape as close as possible of an hand. Alright, same for the other side also. And again in here, I'm trying to draw the basic shape first, and then we add in the details like fingers and everything. Once you satisfy, you can combine all of them together using the Pathfinder tool. And finally, for the shapes, let's draw the shoes. This is really simple, just a shape like this. And again, we can draw a shape below, which is going to be the sole. And in here, I'm using the control and close bracket to send them back. Alright guys, so we have complete our shape. This is the basic shape. Now we can bring the head to the front, select and right click and bring it to front, and we can delete the reference image. We don't need the reference image anymore. Alright, so let's go into the next level. Next, I'm going to draw the lines. So this is a comic style art, as I said. So we will use lines in here to make the art pop up for shadings and lighting. First, let's create the lines and then we can use the shading based on these lines, especially for the wrinkles of the clothes to bring that comic art look. Okay, I'm going to create a new layer on top of this shape layer. And in here, I can name this layer as lines. Now I'm going to use the pen tool to create these lines. These lines are based on the shapes which we already created. Let's create lines which represent the wrinkles of the clothes. Okay, I'm going to use these outer body shapes to create these lines. You guys can just go with your gut feelings. Don't think too much. Imagine when you have an outer shape like this, how the clothes would have folded. Okay, it should be something like this. So I'm going to do the same thing for all of these wrinkles based on the outer shape in here. If you guys follow me, you don't need to follow exactly what I'm doing. You can use your imagination based on your lines. You guys can draw the lines. Don't think too much, just go with the flow. Repeat the same for the pants also. Okay, cool. Now our lines are alright, but if you guys notice, it's look really artificial because it's look the same thickness everywhere. It doesn't suit a comic art style. So let's change it. Select all of these lines. You guys can lock other layers so you guys can easily select the ones in this layer and go to the stroke profile and select this stroke profile, which will change the lines thick in the center and thin in the edges, which look more like a pencil stroke. Okay, let's add in more details with lines. Now you guys can lock all of these existing lines. For the next set of lines, we are going to apply a different set of stroke profile. So with this line, I'm trying to add in a little bit more details to this basic shape. For an example, the folded area in the bottom of the pants in here. Alright, now as I said, select all of these new lines and go to the stroke profile again. This time apply this one in here. This profile, one side is thick, the other side is thin, which is more suitable for these lines which I have created. Okay, let's dive in a little bit deeper into the lines. If you guys notice the belt loop, it's look very artificial as well. So I'm going into this layer. I'm going to deactivate the stroke for these shapes. And again, go back to the lines. I'm going to use the same pen tool to create these lines. We need to have a continuous shape from top to bottom. So I will draw something like this in here. And for this, again, going to apply the stroke profile. Alright, now the next step is applying the shadows. And again, I'm going to the layers and I'm going to create a layer on top of the shape layer, but underneath the line layer. And we can rename this layer as shadows. In this layer, I'm going to draw the shadows based on our lines and the artwork. Okay. Number one, I'm going to focus on the foldings of this clothing and then we can add the actual shadows based on the lighting. So first, let's focus on the shadows based on the wrinkles which we already created with the lines. Okay, it's going to be pretty simple in here. I'm just going to redraw these shapes below these lines and going to apply darker tones of the pink color which we have applied to the body. Pretty simple. In here also guys, go with the flow. Don't worry too much. Just imagine when the cloth is folded like this, how the shadow is going to be affected based on the lighting. You guys can get some reference images also if you want to, but I'm just going with the flow in here. Later on we can edit the lighting for highlights. Same effect for the pants also. And for the hood. And we will have shadows inside this hood as well. And this part should go behind this head. I just cut that shape and paste inside the shape layer below. Right, now let's add in a little bit more details to this character. Okay, first let's create a new layer and I'm going to rename this layer as details. Alright, so I'm going to start with the zip line in the center. For this, again, I'm going to use the pen tool, and this time guys, now we have a clear idea about how the suit in here is folded with these wrinkles. So all we need to do is follow these wrinkles and draw this line. That's why I did not draw this earlier. We can also increase the stroke width, and let's draw one more below in here. I will divide this into 3 pieces, one in here, and there will be one more in here as well. Let's increase the thickness, stroke thickness, and then I want to convert these lines into shapes. So let's expand these lines. Object, expand appearance, and expand the stroke. Alright, now select these lines and change the color to something realistic, something along this blue color. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to copy and paste on top. So that means I'm going to copy this line and paste exactly on top. Okay, Shift Ctrl V. So now we have 2 copies of each of these lines. Now select the copy and go to Effect, Path, and Offset Path. In here, give the offset value. I will give like 4 pixels. Now, if you notice, the path has been increased by the size with the 4 pixels. And for this, I'm going to apply a different color, maybe a brown tone. And now we can send this to backwards. We can also change the blue line a little bit more lighter. All right. Cool. I'm going to do the same for other 2 lines also. It's same steps. Now we can use the direct selection tool and edit the shape to go with the body shape wherever it's outflowing. Okay. Let's add in details to the belt area. I'm going to unlock the layer and select the belt. And I want to get the color from here using the eyedropper. And then let's copy this and paste again. And this one I'm going to apply the brown color and make it a little bit more bigger using the outline path. Now we can send it backwards. And same steps for the belt buckle as well. Change the color, make a copy, paste on top. And this one I'm going to make the shape a little bit more different. And using the pen tool, I'm going to draw the details of the belt, mostly the shadow areas. So based on these, the shadows are going to be somewhere like this. And again, guys, this one also, I'm just going with the flow. Just imagine how the darker areas should be in these areas based on the current lighting situation. We don't have a light yet, but it's just the imagination. So these areas should have darkness and these areas will have a little bit more lightness. Okay, simple. Okay, I'm going to do the same for the hands and for the shoes. First, I'm going to get the colors from the belt, and then let's apply the shadow areas based on the hand placement. Same for the other hand also, and same for the shoes as well. And if you guys are new and want to know more about how to apply proper shadows and lighting to these kind of artworks, please find this tutorial in here where I'm showing guys in detail to apply proper lighting and shadows. Alright, now let's add in more details to the character. I'm going to draw the pockets in the body and in the pants as well. For this, I'm going to choose the line layer. First, draw the line art and apply the stroke profile. Same in the pants also, both sides. Now we can go to the shadow layer to draw the shadows, and in the shape layer we can draw the base shape. In here I'm exactly following the step which I have followed earlier, just drawing the shadows and then filling up the shape in the shape layer. Alright, so next step is applying the highlights. Before we move to highlights, let's create a background. I'm going to create a new layer and bring it back, and going to draw a rectangle in here to cover the entire artboard, and let's apply a dark teal color. Perfect. Now I will edit the face before the highlights. Okay, so for the face, let's bring these two a little bit thicker. I want to change the color to a blue tone and something light in here. It's fine. And for the lines also, I want to get the colors similar to the one below. Let's apply the shadows for the face. So these shadows are caused by the hood in here. So the shadow should be something like this for this side. Let's bring down the opacity of this shape to maybe 50 to 60%. We can use the direct selection tool and make it look like a 3D shadow. So in here you need to consider the shape of the head. So this is going to be a spare. So the shadow will affect something like this. Further away we will have bigger shadow. Closer to the hood we will have a less area like this. Okay. Alright, now I'm going to draw another shape little bit bigger than the shadow and apply a less opaque color for that layer. It's because, and again guys, this shape we need to show it's a 3D shape, 3D look. So that's why we have to draw two shadows, one with little bit darker tone, the other one is lighter tone, and when you combine both together, it will give you this nice 3D look in here based on your head shape. Now let's do the same for the other side also. Again, going to use the pen tool and draw the shadow shape like this in here and apply a opaque color for this. Cool. Now to show the 3D shape, I'm going to draw some additional shadows in here based on our lines, and then we will combine these with the shadows already here, and we can make these corners as rounded corners also, and you guys can see with the 3D shape and the shadows, now it look more like a 3D head. Alright, and the final detail for the artwork is the zipper. So for this I'm going to select the detail layer, and using the pen tool I'm going to draw the pull tab in here. Just the box will do. Alright, let's add in a 3D depth as well. Okay, done. Final step is adding the light layer. As always, before we add the light, we have to define where is the light coming from. So I'm going to place the light somewhere around here. So light will come like this. So these areas in here and in here all these areas will have a lot of lights and some places in here as well. So we already have the shadows, but we can add in more shadows in here as well. Okay, all right, so now we have the idea. We can delete these, and in the light layer I'm going to draw the shapes for the light. And again guys, this is exactly similar to the steps which we have created the shadows earlier. Only difference is we are applying a lighter color instead of darker color like earlier. Okay, we already know where the light is going to be. I'm just going to place some shapes based on our wrinkles in the clothing. The shape will change. So considering that, I'm just drawing the shapes. So that is the important part in here. You need to think in 3D and think how the light will affect when the cloth is folded like this. Okay, that's all you need to do. All right. Same for the glove. In here, instead of light pink, I will select a light blue color, and we will continue with rest of the body. And most of these places, the lines which you are creating or the shapes you are creating is going to be based on your below shape, which we have created with the shadow. I'm continuing the same thing in here as well. So for these, we can change the color in a bit. Let's first try to finish all these lights in here. Okay. All right, perfect. Now we can select these shapes in this side. Since the light is coming from other side, we can select these shapes and bring the opacity down a bit. Okay, a little bit is enough. Because of the light placement, the other side will have more light than this side. Okay, pretty simple. Okay, next we can have some reflections as well. So reflection is basically in here. In this case, it's going to be similar to light. So I'm just going to select the direct selection tool and draw some lines in here and some shapes in these areas, and going to have the same color as the one we have applied earlier. Okay, for the pinks we will choose the light pink, and for the blue we will choose the light blue. And in the face, let's add some reflections. Okay, for that I'm going to draw another line on top of these lines, 3 lines in here. I want to break this into 2, and let's bring up the size a bit and apply a stroke effect, and bring down the opacity to maybe 25%. Okay, keep it white, and we have a light reflection in here, which is fine. To make it more realistic, I'm going to have another line on top. This one is going to be thinner than the earlier line and shorter than the earlier line, only visible in these areas where you can see a lot of light. And for them, again, I'm going to apply the same stroke profile which we have applied earlier. Perfect. Now I will do the same for these areas below. So wherever you see the light, you will apply these. For this, I will use the stroke profile which has thick side on one side and thin on the other side, and we can change side based on the angle using these tools in here as well. This look fine. This character, the head is actually a screen, right? So for the screen, we need to create the pixel look. So let's do that. For that, I'm going to draw a circle in here. You have to unlock the head shape, and you can double click to open if you want to. But for now, I'm just going to draw an ellipse, a small ellipse, and get the colors from here. Okay, and for this we don't need any stroke, and also we can change the color. We can increase the brightness a little bit. Now we can go to the pattern maker and make a pattern. Okay, I'm just going to select OK. We can rename this pattern as pixels, and we can increase the size of this pattern a bit so that we will have a gap. And this look fine. We can always change if it's not working properly. Now we can close this and delete this. And once you create the pattern, you can see the pattern is in the swatches. Now we can go back in, make a copy, Ctrl C, Ctrl V, which will place the shape. Now we can go to the swatches in here and we can apply our pattern, which is this one in here. All right, and we don't need any stroke, and let's place it in here, and we can make it smaller than the stroke, outline stroke, and yeah, this look fine. And if you guys want to change anything, you can just simply double click the pattern, which will open up this pattern maker again. And you can, let's say if you want to make this circle smaller, you can make it a little bit smaller. Okay, cool. We can change the blending mode screen for this shape and bring down the opacity to 25%, so it will blend nicely with the background. Finally, I'm going to draw the symbols of these characters. We will have different symbols for different characters, as you guys know. So I'm going to create a new layer in here, and I'm going to draw the square symbol for this tutorial. Again, going to choose pen tool and draw the rectangle. No need to be perfect, but you need to stick to the 3D shape. Okay, first with the outline of the rectangle, and then we can draw the inside part. So we will have that rectangle symbol shape, and we can delete the center portion using the pathfinder tool. For this symbol also, I'm going to decrease the opacity to maybe 85, 75 and change the blending mode to screen. Okay, so it will nicely blend in with the backgrounds. Let's bring down the opacity to 50%. Okay, it will blend even more nicely. Now I'm going to copy the shape and paste on top, Shift Ctrl V. And for this shape, I'm going to apply only outline. Okay, no fill color, just outline. And for the stroke, let's apply the stroke profile. And this look nice, but I want to have more variation in the stroke. For that, I will select the scissor tool and cut in these lines in these corners, so that each of these will become its own individual lines and it will apply its own stroke profile. So combined together, we can get that comic looking art in here. Okay, that's what I want in here. Lastly, I'm going to cut this shape, and let's go into the shape and paste on top of this pixel layer. Okay, so it will be behind the shadows. All right, and finally, let's have some touch-ups in here. I just want to make these areas a little bit darker because the shadow will affect in here. So this one will be a little bit darker, and this one also. All right, guys, so that's all about for this character. And hopefully you guys enjoy this tutorial and learn something new if you are new to Illustrator. Thank you for watching, and see you guys in the next tutorial.